For months, my life had been stuck in the same exhausting loop, pleading with my wife for affection, for respect, for even a sliver of her time. Each day felt like tiptoeing across a floor of eggshells, waiting for her approval, desperate for her attention, only to be met with disappointment. Nothing I did was ever right. If I stayed late at work, I was accused of neglecting her. If I came home early, she said I lacked ambition. I tried everything. Cooking her favorite meals, buying thoughtful gifts, taking her out, but she dismissed my efforts as if they were meaningless. Somewhere along the way, I stopped recognizing myself. The confident man I once was had faded into someone drained, tired, and desperate to keep peace at any cost. Arguments always ended the same, me apologizing, even when I wasn't wrong. I convinced myself that love meant sacrifice, but in truth, I had become nothing more than a shadow living for her moods. Then, this morning, something shifted. She asked me to iron her clothes before work. Normally, I would have leapt up immediately, hoping to earn a rare smile. But not today. I just sat down, sipping my tea and scrolling through my phone. For the first time in years, I ignored her request. She noticed instantly. "Did you hear me?" she snapped. I nodded but didn't move. Her eyes widened. She wasn't used to this version of me, the man who didn't scramble to please her. She stormed off the bathroom, slamming the door, leaving the crumpled shirt on the bed. I kept sipping my tea in silence. Later, she asked me to run an errand for her mother. Usually, I would have gone without question just to avoid a fight. But this time, I answered calmly, "I'm busy. You can handle it." The look on her face was priceless, a strange mix of confusion, anger, and something else. Fear. For the first time, she realized I wasn't her servant. Throughout the day, she tested me with little demands. Bring her water, fix her charger, call the plumber. Each time, I shook my head or simply said, "Not now." My refusals weren't loud or disrespectful. They were quiet, steady, and final. That silence carried more weight than any argument I had ever made. By evening, the atmosphere in the house had shifted. She paced restlessly, sneaking glances at me, as though trying to figure out what had changed. Finally, she asked, "What's wrong with you today?" For once, I didn't explain myself. I looked her in the eye and said, "I'm tired of being the only one trying this marriage." Her mouth opened, but no words came. She wasn't prepared for me to stand my ground. She was used to the version of me who begged for her attention, her forgiveness, her love. But not tonight. Tonight, I gave her nothing. No excuses, no pleading, no desperate attempts to soothe her. The silence between us grew heavy. She tried to drown it out with the TV, with her phone, with empty distractions. But I could see the unease in her movements. She wasn't used to being ignored. She wasn't used to me putting myself first. When dinner came, she asked if I was cooking. I told her I had already eaten out. Her face dropped. For years, I had made sure she always had a warm meal waiting. But that night, I didn't lift a finger. She clattered pans in the kitchen, pretending she was angry, but I could sense the panic underneath. Later, in bed, her voice softened. "You've been distant today. Are you upset with me?" I turned to her and replied calmly, "I'm not upset. I'm just done begging. I'm done pretending I'm the only one who cares." She stared at me like she was lying beside a stranger. She tried to defend herself, claiming she never asked me to beg, that I was overreacting. But I reminded her, every time she brushed aside my efforts, every time she took me for granted, every time she made me feel small. The truth was written on her face. She knew I was right. For once, I didn't shout, didn't cry, didn't explain. I spoke the truth and let the silence sit between us. And in that silence, she finally realized she might lose me. She rolled over, pretending to sleep, but I lay awake, feeling strangely free. For the first time in years, I wasn't weighed down by the need to please her. I had reclaimed a part of myself, and it felt powerful. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, whether she would change or stay the same. But one thing was certain, I would never go back to begging. Today she noticed. Tomorrow she would understand. The next morning, I left the house early, saying little. I ignored her calls throughout the day. When I came home, I handed her an envelope. Inside were separation papers. Her hands shook as she read them, her eyes wide with shock and fear. She tried to protest, begged me to talk, but this time I stayed silent. The man who once pleaded for her love no longer existed. I packed my things slowly while she stood frozen, powerless to stop me. "You'll regret this," she whispered. I smiled and replied, "No, I've already regretted staying this long." And with that, I walked out. For the first time in years, I felt light. I wasn't begging anymore. I was free.